Welcome back to AspireVue Hot Topics, where in 10 minutes or less, we unpack a leadership thought to equip and serve you on your leadership journey. I'm joined by Dr. Larry Kuhn, founder and creator of AspireVue, and this is part 2 of our conversation on psychological safety.
So I thought about 3 specific things that people would need to know if they are indeed wanting to make an impact. And this is the pattern that I see that people often experience. They have a situation that they're presented with. They have certain needs and values that are under the hood that they're trying to achieve. And then they also have beliefs. And out of experiences that they've had in the past, they have formed beliefs and values that are really, really very strong. So here's what often happens. The first thing that happens is a person senses that they're not measuring up. And they face what I call the bruise of inadequacy. People feel unworthy, inadequate, insignificant, powerless. They're wondering, am I enough? And they kind of conclude, well, maybe I'm not enough, so I need to just survive the best I can. But it's really about shame, and that's the first thing we need to be aware of. If we want to make an impact, we need to be aware that if we're not careful, we can be eliciting shame, a shame reaction with that person.
Wow.
They often then, with that shame, what they will do then is internalize beliefs about themselves, their identity, their self-talk, and what I would call identity lies that they tell themselves about themselves, that are beliefs and values that they hunker down and say, well, this must be true. And they may even make some vows. And those vows might go along with it, something like this: I will never be vulnerable. I will never open myself up. I will never allow someone to control me. I will always be in control. I won't let anybody really see my real self, because then they'll reject me. That's that shame dynamic. And here we are wanting to make all this impact and improve the lives of people, but we may be, without even knowing it, triggering that first factor of shame. So they may even make that vow: I will always be logical. I'll always be right. I will be perfect. I will achieve. I will never do this, so I'll compensate in the other direction. And I will never trust again because I was let down. That's what people are often grappling with internally, but they don't wear that out externally.
Sure.
But it's there. And then the second thing happens: fear enters in and it locks us up. Because see, if I feel unworthy and I'm not going to measure up, then others might find out how inadequate and unworthy and insignificant I really am. And then the worst thing that can happen is that my shame will be added to by the humiliation of being uncovered and discovered. Sure. I've been found wanting. I've been weighed in the balances and I don't measure up. And then what happens? Third thing, people move to control. And then I want to make sure that nobody knows how inadequate I might feel. And I will deploy strategies to survive, not growth strategies, but strategies to survive, which are heavily defended. So I'm suggesting this, that often what people do in that triad of shame, fear, and control, they will latch onto beliefs and values that are unshakable. They will not allow themselves to be open to change, even when presented with blatant facts and evidence to the contrary. Those beliefs and values are heavily guarded. And what do we do about it? If we come and try to convince and persuade without paying attention to psychological safety and the dynamics of what are happening here, then we will elicit their resistance and not have the impact that we want to have. So I'm saying a couple of just takeaways. Think about the cow. You cannot force it. With people, you need to give them a choice and allow them to choose. Start with psychological safety, which is paying attention to their needs. What's really going on here? What might be underneath the hood beyond their behavior? Be consistent. show up with consistency and predictability. That's what people need if we want to create psychological safety. So let me give you an example, Luke. I don't know if you're old enough, but it used to be that when you got a big TV, they had what they call plasma TVs. And plasma TVs, one of the things that you needed to be careful of, you didn't just want to leave it on for 20 minutes or an hour or even longer. And even on computer screens, the same thing. They would have this image that would, if it would burn in on that plasma TV, it would get set. And there's a term within Indian philosophy that's called samskaras. And samskaras are what they call that imprint or an impression that is left on the mind by an experience that we have. And it's not that different from the little shadows that are on the plasma TVs that get burned in because of something that has happened. These samskaras are those beliefs and values that even beyond our awareness, they impacted us so much that it left a mark, and that residue is still there. That residue of shame and experiences that people had in their past, they have a hard time shaking that off. And then they'll move forward and actually begin in those samskaras making what I would call internal vows. Do not play the role of critic, corrector, or trying to convince and persuade people. It may make all the sense in the world, but unless they have experienced what we've experienced, this same data will not have the impact that we want for them to have. We have to go through the door of experience. And then finally, provide a corrective emotional experience that can often happen with self-disclosure. Disclosing your own shortcomings and struggles. That kind of normalizes that, hey, we're all flawed. We're all probably doing our best, but let's find some common areas so that we can indeed make an impact instead of just telling people what to do. So there's kind of my take today on, how can we create psychological safety by fostering experiences that lead to feelings that can shape values and beliefs and behaviors through the mechanism that is already in place for a lot of people.
Wow. Man, so much gold there. I'm walking away with remember the cow. Remember the cow. And I'm going to take that into my day.
Great, Luke.
Dr. Larry, thank you so much. Hey, I know that's going to be helpful for so many people. And if you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel. You can check out our podcast as well on all major podcast networks. Or to learn more about AspireVue, you can find us online at AspireVue.com. Dr. Larry, always a pleasure to speak with you. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Luke.